Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order, and then I'm going to read the instructions like I normally do to go into the remote meeting here. We'll call the meeting to order. As chair of the Governor Wentworth Regional School Board, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are providing public access. We are utilizing meet.google.com Hangout Meets for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone number, 603-387-3865, or texting the same number, 603-387-3865, or emailing jwidmer, JWIDMER @sau49.org. Live streaming is available by clicking the following website, www.gwrsd.org. Additional viewing is available on channel 26 in Wolfeboro and New Durham and on WCTV YouTube channel. We previously gave notice to this meeting of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or, in this case, meeting.google or telephonically. Instructions have also been provided on the website of the school district at www.gwrsd.org. If anybody has problems, please call 603-387-3865 or email again at jwidmer@sau49.org. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done on a roll call vote. And I'll start by taking the attendance roll call vote by attendance. And I'll start with Krista Hebert.
Here.
Julia Cardinale. No. Timothy Eldridge.
Here.
Wendy Fenderson.
Here.
Dr. James Manning.
Here.
Jim Pittman.
Here.
Charlene Seibel. I see you, Charlene.
Here.
Dana Streeter is not here, and I am here. Fine. Also in attendance is Kathy Cuddy-Egbert, Superintendent. Heather Cummings, Assistant Superintendent. Kathy Oblinas, Business Administrator, and Linda Murphy, Secretary. Anyone else that I missed? Okay. At this point, if you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll do that. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of
The
the
United States of America and to the republic
for
for
which
which it stands, one
One
nation,
one nation
under
under God,
under God, indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty and
with
justice
liberty
for
and
all.
justice for all.
Thank you. Agenda review. I think we wanted to add one thing to the agenda.
Yes, we wanted to add general assurances. And I also wanted to discuss a change in the next board meeting date.
Okay. Okay, the next thing on the agenda then, would, if everybody's okay with that, next meeting. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes of the June 28th board meeting.
So moved.
Who was that? All right, who moved? I'm sorry.
Tim.
Tim moved. Okay, and who seconded?
Wendy.
Wendy, thank you, Wendy. Okay, any discussion, corrections, omissions on that? Okay, all those in favor of accepting the minutes of the June 8th meeting signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
You abstain, okay, abstention. Okay. Chair votes aye as well, thank you. Okay, so we're going to right into the meat of the meeting agenda tonight, the school calendar for 2021. We had a request from the town of Tuftonboro if they could use the school gym for both the primary elections in September and the gym for the general election in November. Ordinarily, under normal circumstances, they use the town hall or the townhouse, they call it. Certainly a very much smaller facility. And of course, when we made the calendar up, we had no idea that we'd be in the middle of a pandemic. So social distancing is impossible for them to create in the space that they're using. Hang on just a second, I have someone calling in. Hi, this is Jack. Hey, Bill. Our meeting is going on. You should be able to get onto the website, and we're live streaming it, so it should be on the SAU website, GWRSD.org. We are up and running. Not sure how to get you in. Hang on just a second. So I've got someone on the phone that's trying to get in, and they clicked on and it says waiting for live streaming.
Okay. Have they tried the WCTV link?
I don't think so. Can you try the WCTV link? Is there on YouTube as well?
Yeah, I can see that we are live streaming. Paul brought in his phone.
Yeah,
So.
if you go to the Wolfeboro Community TV site, they should have the live streaming on their YouTube site. We are live streaming on ours for some reason. I'm not sure why you can't get on. Your Wolfeboro Community TV website. All right, thanks, Bill. Okay, that was one of the selectmen from Tuftonboro, as a matter of fact.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so anyway, so Tuftonboro asked if they could use the gym for those 2 days, and I think for November, the schools are going to be closed. We had agreed that there would be no school in session on that day. The first day of school was supposed to be September 8th, which happens to be the primary election day. So I suggested to Kathy that if we could move that by 1 day to open on the 9th instead of the 8th, that would accommodate not only Tuftonboro, but even though we haven't heard from either Ossipee, because they usually do it in their little town hall there, or Effingham for that matter. I'm not sure, or New Durham for that matter. It could very well be a hardship on them if we don't allow them to use the school building on the 8th. So that's kind of how we got here today to discuss moving the start date by 1 day to the 9th instead of the 8th. And Kathy, if you want to fill us in where you've talked to the principals of some of those schools.
Sure. Yes, I did talk with the principals, and one of the things that certainly I'd like to be able to do this. One of the things that I needed to check out in having a discussion with the principals is the fact that as we're looking at what we're going to be doing in the fall, if we're reopening, we have to have social distancing ourselves. And so it means that we're going to have to repurpose our school buildings and use some additional spaces that are used for other things right now, meaning the gym, for example. However, every single principal got back to me and said, we will make it work. So even though we're probably using those spaces a little bit differently than we have in the past, the principals will do what they need to do with the custodians to make it work so that we can do this for the towns.
Did anyone listen to the governor's address this afternoon on the school opening?
Yeah.
I also printed out the K-12 back to school guidelines that they guidance that they've issued. Obviously, he said it's basically up to the individual school districts to decide what they want to do. The state is more or less in their guidelines stating they're using both the CDC and the World Health Organization guidelines as far as social distancing. So anywhere from 3 to 6 feet is what they feel acceptable within a classroom. That's up to us to decide, obviously, as a board, whether we want to stick with the 6 feet or go to 3 or 6 or whatever combination might work in different grade levels or whatever. So that's kind of still up in the air. So how much repurposing we need to do, that's certainly up for discussion, and I'm sure there's going to be some. But at this point, I think if we can move this one by the start of school by 1 day, I think it's a plus for the towns. I think we're taking a proactive approach to say we don't want to get caught at the last minute having one of these towns call us and saying, "Gee, we can't have our elections." I think it's a good thing to take this step if we can do it. So
I have no problem. I have no problem with it. Does that mean we're moving the end of the year by 1 day?
Well, we would, I think we would on the calendar. And again, that really depends on, snow days and all the other things that are built up there that it's pretty late in June. But again, this is also the latest that we could possibly start school because of where Labor Day falls. So, we're kind of caught in between a rock and a hard place at this point because being as late as school was going to start on the 8th, the last school date, I think, was the 21st of June. And this would make it the 22nd. But again, as the year progresses, and who knows what the year's going to look like, we'll have to discuss that, I guess.
Jack, I do have a suggestion. If you are to decide that you'd like to have elections in the schools on the 8th, and as I said, the principals will absolutely make it work no matter what is happening. They've committed to that. If we do that, because it will bump the last day of school into the 22nd of June, my recommendation would be that for snow days, we have remote learning days rather than makeup days.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I think that makes.
So is that in lieu of I'm sorry, Jack.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Is that in lieu of like the 3 blizzard bag days, like just additional?
It would be, instead of having 3 blizzard bag days, say we have 5 snow days, Wendy, we would just do those 5 days remotely. If we have 6, same thing. It would just
Same
right
thing.
now.
Okay.
That's what the state standards allow us to do. We've got some flexibility.
Right.
I think teachers are really upping their game as far as remote learning goes.
Remote learning.
I feel pretty comfortable that the students would have, however many days, would have a good solid educational program, and then it would prevent us from going into the end of June.
Right.
And I agree with that.
I think my only concern, I guess, would be for those students that we had to provide hotspots and all that. Obviously, we've gotten all those back. If these students on these snow days don't have access to the internet, how do we handle that at the last minute? And that's an issue I think that we have to look at.
We can provide them with some other either some paper alternatives, or we can keep the hotspots set up because we have the hotspots now.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. I think that's a great alternative to extending the school year. Obviously, the later we get into June, the more difficult it is to keep the focus of the students. So I think that's a great alternative if we can do that.
Jack, can I add a couple things?
Yeah.
I did have a brief discussion with one of the selectmen from Effingham this afternoon. Certainly they have been kind of pulling their hair out, trying to figure out how to accommodate voting, obviously in September and then of course in March as well. Even to the extent of renting a tent to be able to house the election officials and what have you. So certainly they are definitely in favor. If we can provide the school for them, they would definitely appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Tim. And I think I think it'll go a long way. Just from the standpoint that we're trying to look out for the towns that support us as well. And I think that's a good thing. If we can make this happen, I think that's the right way to go. Charlene?
Thank you, Jack. I don't have a problem with providing the facilities for, either the primary or the general. I have a couple of concerns though, and this may be a question for the webinar the School District Association is going to have, or a question for Primex. Does the district will the district bear any kind of liability? So let's say worst case scenario, who and what is going to be required in terms of PPE, in terms of social distancing? Is the district going to make the decision that all the voting booths have to be at least 6 feet apart? Are we going to, because it's our building, are we going to be able to require everyone to wear masks, everyone to maintain social distancing, hand sanitizer stations? And I think that's reasonable. Are we then going to need to be able to pay for that? And if I'm just trying to be proactive and anticipate some of the things that might be involved. And if someone, God forbid, gets sick, will we bear any kind of liability?
Yeah. I mean, I would say right off, in my estimation, this is going to be a town decision. We're offering them a facility to use, just like town meeting or anything else that the town of Wolfeboro uses. The town of Tufnboro uses TCS for their town meeting. It's up to them to decide how the seats are going to be set up, how the people are going to be, brought in, all of that. And I think this is the same scenario. This is going to be a town decision on how they run their election. We're just providing a physical location for them to be able to do it. And I think our responsibility is it kind of ends right there as far as providing a facility, and it's up to them to determine the criteria that they use for running their elections.
But will our custodial staff be the one that will be disinfecting and doing all of that after?
Yes. We would do all the disinfecting, before and after. We'd make sure that the facility is safe going in and the facility is safe afterwards for our students to come back in. But other than that, the meeting itself, I think, is strictly a town function. Kathy, any?
No, I believe we generally have a certificate of insurance from the town when they hold an event in our school building. So I think the liability really is, as you pointed out, Jack, on the town, and we've got that insurance certificate. So our responsibility would really be to make sure that the building is all sanitized, as you pointed out already.
Okay. Okay. I think that's. Any other questions on moving this date by one day?
So I make a motion to approve opening the school on September 9th, 2020 as presented.
So moved. Second.
Okay, moved by Wendy. Hang on a second, I gotta put my glasses back on. Who seconded it? I'm sorry.
I did, Jack. Jim Manning.
Jim, Dr. Jim, okay, seconded, okay. All right, all those in favor of moving the opening day to the 9th, Krista.
Yes.
Julian is not here. Tim Good Eldridge.
Yes.
Wendy.
Yes.
Dr. Jim.
Yes.
Jim Pittman.
Yes.
Charlene.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Jane is not here. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. I think it's it's the right thing, right answer, I think, for us, and I think it's going to go, go a long way for the towns too. Give them some a little breathing room on how they have to handle their elections. So.
Jack, do we want to do a second motion on those snow days being remote learning days?
That sounds good. Let me. I got my little chart here. Hang on a second. Okay, I would entertain a motion then to move the snow days to remote learning rather than blizzard bags or other alternatives.
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, we're moved by Charlene. And seconded by Dr. Jim.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, all those in favor then of moving
Hold on,
the.
Jack. Should
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
should
Go
the
ahead.
motion indicate? I mean, certainly the big thing is the snow days, but sometimes we have no power or no water or something like that, and those aren't necessarily snow days. So should we indicate the motion as a reason that we have to shut the school down, that we would do a remote, or just stick strictly to snow days?
I don't see, I don't think that's unreasonable.
We can, go ahead, Kathy.
Snow days and or emergency days?
Yeah, that's
Okay, all right. If you want to modify that to snow days and or emergency days that we
Do I
use
need
remote
to-
learning.
Do I need to withdraw my motion? Or
No,
how-
no, we'll just modify your motion to include emergency days as well as snow days.
I'm good with that.
Okay, so we'll leave it stand then as snow days and or emergency days that will use remote learning as opposed to blizzard bags or other alternatives. Okay? All right. So Krista,
Yes.
Timothy,
yes, yes.
Wendy,
Yes.
Dr. Jim,
Yes.
Jim Pittman,
Yes.
Charlene,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Chair votes yes. Okay, excellent. So that takes care of that. Great job, Kathy, on that.
Okay. So next is general assurances.
Yeah.
And general assurances are required by the federal government in order for us to receive our grants. What they are, and you've seen them on the website, but just for purposes of the public meeting, I just want to give a brief description to the public. Generally, we implement all of the general assurances, but we need to, with Jack as the chairperson and my signature, indicate that we're really implementing each of these practices, which we do. So if you've looked through them, you can see that there are things like conducting an audit, our policies and procedures for cash management, conflict of interest, procurement, travel, equipment and supplies, record keeping. As I said before, audits, our allowable costs, the reports that we need to submit to the Department of Education, that we are a drug-free workplace and we have all the policies and procedures in place to be a drug-free workplace, that we have general provisions for equity for students and teachers. It's quite a lengthy document, as you all know, because you've seen it. But we also know that we have policies and procedures that dovetail with this so that we're meeting these requirements. So the Department of Ed requires not only that Jack sign them and that I sign them, but that this is discussed at a board meeting so that you know that we are implementing these assurances and what they are and that Jack and I have signed them. So.
Quick question. I went through the email before, and I think is that the ones that we already initialed back in May, and we're just affirming
Yeah.
those board vote tonight?
Because they wanted a formal vote from the school board.
Okay. So then that's the general assurances. So I'd entertain a motion to, I guess, accept the general assurances as they're presented with the chair and the superintendent authorizing those with their signatures and initials.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Okay, any questions on that?
Quick question.
Okay, yeah,
I'm noticing that in the language of it, it's saying evidence by the minutes of the school board meeting of, which would be tonight.
yeah.
So would that mean that this wouldn't be in full force until we approve the minutes at the next meeting? I'm imagining that's not material, but just curious.
It's a good
Well,
question.
these would be in full force all the time. What we need for the Department of Education is evidence that Jack and I have signed them and that you've accepted them so that we can get our federal funds.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
good question though. Okay, Krista.
Yes.
Let's see, Tim,
Yes.
Wendy,
Yes.
Dr. Jim,
Yes.
Mr. Pittman,
Yes.
Charlene,
Yes.
and Chair votes aye as well. Okay, so we got the general assurances. And next on the agenda is the next board meeting.
Yes, I wanted to talk about moving the next board meeting to be a little bit earlier. The next board meeting is scheduled for August 10th. And, you know, there's an awful lot to talk about as far as the opening of school goes. And I'm concerned about families and teachers knowing enough in advance what we're going to be doing. The task force is making excellent progress and the subcommittees are doing a lot of great work. I think we'll be able to bring a draft plan forward by the end of July so that there can be a discussion on August 3rd. Generally, we let teachers know what's happening and all the back to school letters generally go out on August 1st to families as well. It's the beginning of August. So I think the closer we can be to that date, the better. I don't think we can get it done before then because as you'll see in the plan, there's an awful lot of detail work to be documented and to be accomplished. And then of course, there'll be a lot of discussion about what it looks like in September. So I would just suggest that we maybe do it a little bit earlier than the 10th. And I think the 3rd would be a good time frame. I think the 3rd's a Monday also.
Yeah, the 3rd is a Monday also, so I have no problem with that. I think the sooner we can get a decision out to everyone, I think that's the most important thing that we can do. So
Yeah, I agree.
I may not be back from taking a short trip, so I don't mind the board meeting. Maybe I'll be in by that time that night.
Well, we'll let you know if school's going to open or not, but you know.
Krista, another option might be, I know we're going to have a social distance meeting next time face-to-face, but maybe a call-in option would be another possibility for you.
Okay.
Not that I want to ruin your vacation or anything, but I just want to give you the opportunity to.
Well, I just set it up for 2 different dates and they were around the board meeting, so I didn't interrupt the board meeting.
Oh.
Well, we'll if you can join us somehow, that's great. If not, you know, we'll be with you anyway. Okay. I have no problem with moving it to the 3rd. And we just have to pick a location if we're going to do our social distancing, where we're going to be and have that discussion, which I think is going to be important for that discussion. I think this upcoming discussion is going to be a lot more important to talk face to face and to talk it out as opposed to trying to talk it remotely. So,
Well, if it's a lovely day, maybe we could meet outside somewhere.
well, it's certainly a possibility. Certainly a possibility. And you know, I'm hoping that you know, at that time some members of the public might want to listen in too and participate in what's happening. It's important stuff coming up. So, all right. Do I have a motion then to move the next board meeting to the 3rd from the 10th of August?
So moved.
All right, Jim Pittman moved.
Second.
And second by Tim. All right, Krista,
Yes.
okay, Tim,
Yes.
Wendy,
Yes.
Dr. Jim,
Yes.
Jim Pittman,
Yes.
Charlene,
Yes.
and Chair votes yes as well. Okay. So we're in good shape there. I think that's a great decision. A lot more between now and then for sure.
And
So-
where will it be?
Well, we're not sure yet. We were
Okay.
thinking at least the skylight dining room, but because we could set that up, spread the tables out and have plenty of room around there. So
That's,
How
I
about-
think that would be a good space for us.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And if any public is there, we can certainly have other chairs and tables set up with 6-foot distancing, and hopefully that would work for whatever public wanted to show up as well.
And I think it's reasonable to require folks to wear masks. I know that what we're trying to do is model safe behavior, and we're at the point where I think we really need to stand pretty firm on that.
Yeah, I think it's certainly a good idea to set that example. Again, forcing people to do it, I think, is one of those awkward situations. But I think somebody said today that I wear a mask to protect you, and I expect you to protect a mask to wear a mask to protect me. For those people that don't, I think that's unfortunate. But again, I don't think the mandate to require it might not work, but I think we definitely should set the example. And make a strong suggestion that anyone attending the school board meeting that evening, we would ask that you respect everyone else and wear a mask to the meeting.
Yeah, good. I
Okay.
think that's a good approach.
Okay, so we've moved the meeting to the 3rd. I think we're done with this part of the agenda, I believe. We do have public input set up for this time. I don't know if anybody wants to contact us. I did have a couple of phone calls and an email or a voicemail from Alyssa Paquette, and I will get back to her as soon as the meeting is over, so we can discuss what happened, obviously, and what we've decided. I will get back to her. If it's anyone else from the public that would like to text or call in or whatever, we can wait a couple of minutes before we go into non-public. I certainly appreciate everybody being able to get onto the meeting today with such short notice. One of those things that came up very quickly, and I'm glad we were able to get a quorum together and get the meeting done. So
I think it makes it a little bit easier when it's a Google Meet, because most people can stay right where they are and.
exactly. That's a good thing. All right, my phone isn't ringing off the hook right at the moment, so I think if we want, I'm gonna suggest that we go into non-public under RSA 91A (3) paragraph 2 for personnel matters.
So moved.
Okay, just move by. Okay, who second?
Second.
Second by Tim. Okay, another roll call vote. Krista,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Wendy,
Yes.
Dr. Jim,
Yes.
Jim Pittman,
Yes.
Charlene,
Yes.
and chair votes yes. So we're now in non-public. Thank you, Timothy, for
Non-public, I mean, out of public into non-public.